what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Icy Ives. We are back again for another video. I know it's been a minute, but we are here, we are present, we're in the moments. And today, I really want to just talk about one thing: why following my dream was the best decision I ever made. And there's going to be a lot of topics I want to dive into today, and hopefully, um, it can inspire you to view your artistry in a different perspective, and hope some things can resonate with you. And if not, it's all good. Appreciate you for even considering watching this video, anyways. And if you're gonna stick through, um, grab a seat, take out a notepad if you want, because we're gonna be here for a little bit. We're gonna get deep. Let's get it. So first and foremost, finding my passion was in '07, right? And mind you, growing up in Anchorage, Alaska, beforehand, I was just playing sports, and that's basically it. You know, in '07, I was about 11 years old, and that's where I met this crew called EOR, right? And that's kind of how breaking was introduced to me and my friend. His name is Germs, and we would go to a facility called the Rec Center, and we would play sports there. And one day, we were just waiting for our ride, and these kids just came up to us, and they, told us to try this out. And what they were doing was they were breaking. And ever since they asked us to go in, we did. And there was just a different feeling of how that made me feel opposed to sports. It was almost like after that day, I dropped everything and just wanted to break, right? And throughout my entire childhood, it was just that. Um, Holes on the wall, you know, older brothers telling you to keep it quiet because all the banging that you're doing in your room, all those loud thumps, you know what I mean? You know, all of that was part of our childhood pretty much. Parents saying, stop, go to sleep. Why are you even dancing? You're gonna break your bones. You know, you shouldn't even be doing that, right? Um, yeah, there was just a lot of that growing up, but I never stopped. It was just something that made me feel whole, right? Um, like I said, every sport, you name it, probably tried it, but it just didn't make me feel. It didn't feel a place in my heart where I felt enlightened, and breaking did that for me. So that's what I wanted to do. And from elementary school going into middle school, continued on with it, still practiced, trained, endless hours. Um, Same with high school. A lot of our days were just going to the rec center and staying there all day long, from when it opened till when the dance room closed for a little bit because of rentals, and then it would open up again in the evening, and then we would dance again. That was like 5 hours a day. You know, um, so there was a lot of that just growing up, and just putting in countless time, countless energy into just all that, right? And it was a beautiful thing because one, it kept us out of trouble. You know, we didn't know it either, but we just did this, and it was doing something positive for us. We were staying in shape, and we were inspiring others along the way too, without even knowing it. You know what I mean? And we became a community of friends of just wanting to be involved in something, right? And some of the challenges along that was just like, how far do I want to take this? And obviously parents didn't support it, right? Going into high school, that's kind of when a lot of those conversations started happening, because they just thought it was just something I wanted to do as a kid. But as I grew older, I still continued to do it, and I still continued to train, and I still wanted to do more and get more out of it. And a lot of the times, my parents would not want me to do it, wanted me to drop it all, get an education, you know, get some kind of degree, and get a sustainable job. Which, first, I just want to say I have complete respect for all those people that do that. You know what I mean? no disrespect at all for those individuals that want to get an education and fulfill that space in their life. There's a time and place for that, and for me, it just wasn't that, right? So, and I tried, you know what I mean? Um, Even after high school, I tried to go to college and get an education, but it just wasn't for me. It just didn't fill a place in my heart, right? Um, and a lot of, like I said, a lot of dialogue and people not believing in you, people saying, hey, probably shouldn't do this for a long time. It probably won't even pay your bills, dude. Just get a regular job. You know what I mean? Um, it got lonely too. It came to a point where sometimes it was just myself doing it. And with that, obviously, it's nice to do it with a whole group of people. But obviously, as you get older, people start to have different priorities. People get families, people get like I said, a job, kids, move away, just start to lose interest in it, start to gain a passion for something else. They weren't really in it for the long run. There was just something like a phase in their life, and no love lost for any of those people. Obviously, like I said, there's a time and place for everything, and in the moment of growing up and those moments spent time with those people, like, it was beautiful. I wouldn't take anything away from those moments, right? So, um, yeah, and some of the challenges with this too is just what can I do in Alaska and continue to grow? You know, it's hard to have a big dream in a small city sometimes. Sometimes you have to experience things outside of your community. And that's when I wanted to travel, right? But I gotta give a shout out to my brother because his name is Lever Ray, and he's the one who kind of like believed in my journey. He's the one who flew me out to my first one-on-one competition in Seattle. And mind you, Seattle was kind of like the nearest place for us at the time, more affordable place. And I was invited to be part of this one-on-one bracket, right? And the only reason why I was invited to that is because so for this one-on-one, it's called the Northwest Sweet 16. It's organized by his name is Tim Chips from Seattle, and he would invite 16 of the best b-boys from the Northwest, and our elder b-boys from Alaska, Alaskan Assassins. One of them was always invited to that event to represent, right? But there's this one year in 2012. I was a sophomore in high school, and none of them, you know, weren't able to go. So they referred me, and um, they accepted that spot, that slot for me to take. Northwest 316 did, and my brother took a risk. He was like, "Hey, sure, let's do it. Why not? I'll even fly with you." So him and his wife flew with me there, and yeah, it was an amazing feeling. Just feeling that support from your own family member. It meant the world to me. I was just super grateful for it. And going there, obviously, nobody knew who I was. I was the underdog. And that was kind of like my turning point in my dance career, where I felt like somebody was actually supporting what I love to do. And if it wasn't for that day, I don't know how I would have found my first event out of the state. So I was fortunate enough to have that kind of support at that young age, right? And he believed in me when others didn't. So it was amazing. That was kind of a moment where I felt like I wanted to continue and grow some more, even outside of the Northwest. But a lot of my early stages in my breaking career was just traveling to the Northwest. Just like in my early years prior to that, it was just being in Alaska and competing in Alaska. But, you know, after a while, you're going to want more and just test yourself somewhere else, right? So, um, but a lot of my early battles were just mainly based in Seattle just because it was so close and it was affordable to us at the time because, having a regular 9 to 5 and funding what you want to do wasn't an easy thing to do. A lot of it came out of pocket. You didn't know where to stay. You would have to ask people, hey, can I stay at your house for a couple days? Sometimes their houses were full because they were housing other people, but there was always a way. You'll always find a way to do it if you really want to do it. And you know, as kids, you know, we were fortunate enough to be able to travel as teenagers, and a lot of the times my parents were against it, but I begged. There are moments where I cried because this is really what I wanted to do, but my parents always said no, but I always kept asking, you know what I mean? And eventually they just said, you know what, let him, because all because of my older brother believing in me and him having conversations like, look, I don't know how good he is, I don't know how far this will take him, but just let him do it. And he had a huge influence in their decision. So yeah, I just gotta thank my big brother right now, Christian Lever, man. Without him, I wouldn't have experienced my first taste of competing out of the state of Alaska, right? So that was great, and that was kind of like the turning point of me wanting more out of it. But during that process and that journey, obviously there's always things that are gonna come to your way in terms of like, man, am I even good enough, right? How far will this even take me, right? Um, you know, and living in Alaska, it's that's kind of a hard thing as a young individual wanting to follow your dream, right? Just because you do want to be out there, but there's things at home that you still gotta do, man. You still gotta graduate high school. You still gotta get good grades. You still gotta make sure that you're still a solid human, and you're still fulfilling certain things you need to do as a kid. And um, as a kid, obviously, doing this kept me out of trouble, but at the same time, it also led me to bad decisions too. And that just came with meeting certain people and being around certain individuals that you find within your niche, right? Some individuals were good and some just weren't. And for me as a kid, I just wanted to be around them, right? So there's just certain times where, you know, what I love to do also drove me to a direction where I didn't do such good things just because of the people that came with it too. Mind you, they dance as well, but there are some times where, you know, like I said, you just meet certain individuals that have good intentions and some not, and that feeds into what you feed into what you're around and your environment. So, I would say there was some decisions as a young individual that weren't always butterflies and rainbows. There's times I got in trouble with the law and I had to face consequences. And did I disappoint my family? Absolutely, you know. Um, and that's just because who I was around, right? And there was those moments where even dancing wasn't gonna um, help me find a positive route and finding my way back into like that positive light again. But even if it didn't help me, I still did it, right? And I still was able to realize that regardless of if it was doing me good or bad, it was a relationship I was building with this art form of dance, right? And I always had it to fall back on, regardless of how I felt or how it made me feel. So it was another outlet for me to just want to continue, whether positive things came out of it or not, right? It was just something for me to do. So yeah, those were some moments growing up too, man. Long story short, when I was a kid, yeah, you do make friends as you get older, and within those friends, you really gotta be careful with who you surround yourself with now. So if you're a kid watching this, just be careful who you're around, because those kind of things do play a part in your life, and nobody wants you making bad decisions or getting in trouble. So think about that. But I feel like I wouldn't go back in time, I'd change anything because if it wasn't for moments like that, I probably wouldn't be the individual I am today, right? So, as bad as those moments were, it opened my eyes to a lot. Just being the human I am today and wanting to stay away from those things and advocating for individuals to not do certain things that might lead them to some trouble or whatnot. You know what I mean? What we'd love to do should be an outlet for us to not do certain things like that. That's why hip hop was made, right? Is to not do anything violent. So, it should resonate in that way or form. So yeah, a lot of my childhood was just, that getting into trouble, getting out of trouble. Um, but after high school, and thank God I did graduate. You know what I mean? I was able to get my diploma and walk, um, and I still danced, right? And after high school, I did try to go to college and tried to get an education, but it just wasn't for me. You know what I mean? It never filled that place in my heart where I wanted to fulfill this, right? Mm. And I felt like I wasn't doing that for myself, but for somebody else, you know? And I was just never good at that kind of stuff. So I wanted to just dance, really. And that's when I had to make a decision with myself that I wanted to just live my dream and fulfill my life as an artist and make a living after this. And people looked at me crazy, like, dude, get a job, dude. Don't do that to yourself. You'll thank yourself later, right? Um, like I said, I did. I tried. It just never felt like me, right? So all I did was spend time just doing what I love to do, day in and day out, and put in countless hours. And doing that, I came across a really cool individual. His name is Lo Se Lee. At the time, I want to say this was in 2014. Um, he was in Anchorage for a job gig, and he was here, and we would train. And ever since we trained together, we built a relationship. And mind you, he's from Sacramento. Sacramento is a home for a lot of legendary b-boys. And when he came back after his job, he referred me to somebody named Kareem. And if you guys don't know who Kareem is one of the most influential, pivotal b-boys in our community. He's been traveling the world, has numerous world championships under his belt since the age of 13. And he was an individual that reached out to me just because Lo said, "Yo, check this kid out. He has potential." So Kareem gave me a call, and this was when I was 19, 2015. He gave me a call, and he was like, "Hey, my boy Lo said you're killing it, and you got potential. I'd love to fly you out. I'm rebuilding this crew. Would you be down to travel and compete with us?" And I said, "Absolutely." You know, and that was like my another turning point in my life because similar to my brother believing in me, there's an individual, legendary b-boy who believed in me and was down to fly me out to compete with them and be a part of this rebuilding process of the Rock Forest crew. So very honorable moment, grateful and thankful for that moment. And if it wasn't for that day too, I probably wouldn't view b-boying as the way that I do now. And I probably wouldn't be the human I am today if it wasn't for me meeting Kareem. He just opened my eyes to the world as a whole. You know what I mean? And ever since I got down in 2015, as a 19-year-old, it was just like, hey, get your passport ready. I got my passport ready. Um, we're traveling here, we're traveling there. I can't go to this. Can you take this? So it was just that initial connection that I made that really, you know, changed my career. And was this something I always wanted to do? Absolutely. Was this something that I trained for? Absolutely. And there's times where I'm like, what am I even training for? Um, but I always believe that what you put out to the universe is destined to come back to you in some way, shape, or form. So all those hours put in, it was for nothing. It wasn't for nothing. It was It was for a greater purpose, and fortunately, I was able to just build that connection and be recruited into such a prestigious crew. So yeah, man, I wouldn't change a thing about that. Um, so moving forward, from 2015 until now, you know, it's just been amazing. It's been an amazing ride, and obviously, it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, right? To say I'm dropping everything, I'm gonna follow my dream. But I just think if there's something you love to do and it's something that makes you happy, and you try other things and it just doesn't fill that place in your heart, even a little bit. I may like this, I may be interested in it, but there's always that but, right? And throughout my teenage years up until where I'm at now, I'm 29 years old. I limited those buts. I always said no. I have to be clear with what I want, and following my dream as a professional b-boy was just something I wanted to do. And again, people are gonna say, "Don't do that. Get a job. You're not gonna live a sustainable life. Don't put all your eggs in the same basket." You know, I always was a person who said no. Do that. Follow your dream. Drop everything you have. You know what I mean? Drop your job. And that's a scary thing to say. I may sound crazy to a lot of people right now. And it's not an easy thing to do. But it all starts with this, a support system, right? Obviously, over time, my parents didn't like the fact that I did this. But, you know, over time, they just knew that this is something that I wanted to do for a long time. And they started to accept it. They started to take me to the airport for my competitions. They always wished me luck, and they were always happy for me over time. It took a lot of years, but it took me to prove to them that I made a name for myself. You know what I mean? And they started to see the accolades that I was putting under my belt, and that's kind of when they knew that it was a serious thing for me. And yeah, but if it wasn't for my parents supporting my dream and me still being under their roof, and I will say that out, I don't care what any of you guys have to say. You know what I mean? If you guys have the opportunity to live your dream and still save some money under your parents' roof, be thankful for that. I am very thankful that I have both of my parents, my mother and father, are healthy in their 70s. You know what I mean? And I'm still here doing what I love to do just because they're allowing me to live here. I'm able to help out in some way, shape, or form. Um, and I'm still here following my dream. And I'm not done yet. I feel like I just started. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's not an easy thing to do. But if you have the opportunity to do what you love to do, you know, you have a support system and you're able to have a conversation and be like, look, I'm going to do this. This is my dream. And if it doesn't work out, I'll leave. I understand, right? But if it does work out, which I feel like it will, take that opportunity. You just never know. And deep down inside, I've been probably the happiest I've ever been now since I was in the past, because in the past, I was always trying to work a job, didn't make me feel happy. I had a serious job where I was pretty essential to a company, probably the most miserable times of my life, although the pay was good. I wasn't dancing well. I got injured while I was working, right? I was working and then I got injured just because how miserable I was, and those energies just don't mix. And that's probably how I got injured and hurt. You know what I mean? So there was a point in my life where I just said, look, I'm just gonna start doing what makes me happy, you know. And like I said, it's not an easy thing to do, to just drop everything and say, look, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. But I feel like it will be the best decision you've ever made, right? If there's something you love to do and you have the opportunity from your support system, and if you're in a relationship, your girlfriend or boyfriend supports that, which fortunately I do have a partner who supports me 100% in what I love to do, why don't you go ahead and do it? The only person that's going to stop you is yourself. You know what I mean? And along the thing that you love to do, how are you going to sustain yourself is a question. Well, can you build a brand around yourself? You know, if you're able to do something you love to do over time, you're going to travel, you'll meet people, and that's just that kind of risk you have to take within your dream, right? And and it all starts with meeting people and building a connection with individuals. So continue to put in these hours to your dream, even though you don't know what it's for, but you know something's good's gonna happen, right? If somebody like myself was able to fulfill my dream and still fulfilling my dream in a small place called Anchorage, Alaska, you could do it wherever you're at. And that just all starts with just going all out. What does going all out mean? You know, if there's something you love to do, show it to the world. We have social media now. You know, use social media and ask questions and reach out to people. We have that resource now. If there's somebody in your hometown that you know that's doing it, why don't you go up to them and be like, "Hey, I see you're doing a really good job in your craft. Can you maybe help me in how I could, build my own legacy for myself, for me to sustain myself as an artist?" And again, people are gonna look at you and be like, "Bro, just get a job." You know, a lot of people may say all you do is sleep and wake up. No, you know, it's more than that. A lot of people think I just sleep, wake up and dance and practice, sleep again. Absolutely not. I'm up every single day building business plans, business models for the future to sustain myself. Not only myself, the people that I care about, people that I care about who I feel like they're on the same platform as me, same frequency as myself. And I'm finding ways to make sure we all eat in the future, right? And these projects, these business plans, these dreams are it all just stems from what I love to do, which is breaking, right? So as you continue to develop yourself in your main craft, there's other things you have to start thinking about. And that's how people are owning these corporations, owning these businesses. It's just because they had these small dreams that eventually blew up, and now they have people working for them, just like how people work for big companies. You know what I mean? It just all starts and stems from a dream that you have. And a lot of you may be asking, well, how are you sustaining yourself right now? Well, I'm one of the fortunate breakers in our community that is endorsed by a company. I'm endorsed by Monster Energy, and they're able to support me. But again, if it wasn't for certain individuals I met, like the Kareem Gwynns, like the Los Saleys, like my older brother who believed in me, none of this would be possible. You know what I mean? And how did this happen? It's just because I put myself out there and I didn't care what anyone thought. And I still don't care what anyone thinks. So when somebody comes at you just because you're following your dream and they think you're doing nothing but just sleeping and waking up unemployed, just know that they don't know what comes along with the thoughts that you have in your head, the creative things that you want to create, but you got to make them happen. You know what I mean? And when people do see them happen, people are going to be like, how is he continuing to do this? And that's just because you stuck true to what you love to do, and that's following your dream. So for those who have a passion, for those who have talent, don't let that go to waste. I tell people that I care about all the time, but at the same time, it's completely up to you. And that's why I said it gets lonely, and not everybody will see it the way you see it, right? But I devoted myself into, you know, fulfilling my heart and filling that place where this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And, other clear visions come along that, and what else you want to start, and how you could be sustainable in the future. Those things are very important to have while you follow your dreams too, right? So in reality, there is no plan B, there's only a plan A. And within your plan A, there's other things that arise that just feed into your plan A just because you had that dream. So wherever you're at in this world, I just want to tell you that if you have the opportunity to just say, I'm going all in with what I love to do. Do it. You know, will people disagree with you? Absolutely. I've lost friends along the way. You know what I mean? And it's okay because you only have you at the end of the day. Only you to back yourself up, you know? And will people come into your life and help you? Absolutely. You'll get tons of help, right? And sometimes that little push, actually that big push, is all you'll need for you to spread your wings in the way you want to spread your wings. But I just want to give big shout outs to individuals like my crew, Rockforce crew, my girlfriend, Diana Reyes, full-time nurse, but still making time for what she loves to do. Because you know why? She's passionate in her job, but she's also passionate and wanting to get better in her craft. And to me, that's inspiring. It's hard to balance both, but there's no excuse, right? The crew that I come from, legendary crew from 1983, established, legendary b-boys that came out of that. No excuse. You know what I mean? My brother, you know, high position in the military. And people look up to him in his rightful field. No excuses, right? And it takes that kind of mentality to be around those individuals. And like I said, it gets lonely. And sometimes it's just you. So that's just where I've been at in my life. And I thought I would share with you guys. Um, Again, it may sound like a very scary thing to do, but the moment you do come to terms with yourself and say, look, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life and I'm going to follow my dreams, whatever it takes. Whatever I lose, whatever happens, I'm still in it, you know. Would I still be following my dreams if my parents said, go ahead and follow your dreams, but you can't live here? I probably would. It probably would have been harder. But you know what? I'll still be doing it regardless, you know. And aside from me doing this for myself, you're also building other things along the way. Like, what can you do for your community that's gonna not only help you, but impact lives along your journey? Because at the end of the day, my why has always been about inspiration and helping others. So if you can do the same, and if you have the opportunity to, just do it. It's scary, right? But look, you're gonna be so much more happier and so much more weight lifted off your shoulders, trust me. But again, that's up to you. But I'll end it there. Um, I hope this was a very insightful video, and I would love to continue to have these conversations with you guys. And if you guys are interested in talking about these conversations or anything in this nature, or just anything about dance, or just following your dream, or just artistry in general, please do subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment, like the video, let me know what you thought about the video, if you agreed or disagreed with something, what's something you want me to talk about next, right? But also, if you want to stay connected even more, there's a free group Telegram chat that I made specifically for the community that I built, called the I Create online community. So check that out in the link below as well in the description. And yeah, y'all, I'd love to keep building, keep sharing my insights with you. But again, stay true to what you love, because nobody can take that away from you. And if you have something that you could offer to the world, why don't you do it all out? Life's too short to not follow your dreams and be the best version of yourself, yo. Do it. One love. Take care wherever you're at in the world. Peace, y'all. Let's stay connected. Later.